Hello again, once again from the old Jordane Studios, or Mancat Studios, as we are probably going to start calling it. Let me make sure that this sound is good. So, can you guys hear me, everyone? Can everyone hear me? It looks like everyone can hear me. I think that the sound is good because a lot of times the sound does not work very well here at Paul Jordane Studios or Mancat Studios, whichever one you want to call it. How are you guys doing? Everybody having a happy Tuesday? Happy Tuesday, everybody. What a wonderful Tuesday it is. I got up early this morning and I accomplished a few of my goals. I did what I was supposed to do. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I still have to do my run. I haven't done my run yet today. I got back on track a little bit of my runs last week, and then yesterday I had a good run. Now, right after this podcast, I'm going to be back on the road running, and maybe I'll do an update on Instagram for you guys on that one. I haven't done that recently, just because I've been distracted with real life matters. So let's jump into the chat and see who all's here. It looks like we got everybody here. What's going on? Oh, Shy's here. What's up, Shy? How are you? Good to see ya. What's up, Stephanie? How are you? Oh, Lori's here. Good to see you, Lori. I know you weren't able to make the show yesterday, but it's good to see you now. Hello, Mr. RR. Is that Rambling Ron? Craig Weber, what's up, brother? How are you, man? It's good to see you, Craig. Stephanie said, one of my daughters and in-laws' cats died today. Oh, I'm so sorry. That's horrible. That's really bad news, and I hate to hear that for you and your daughter. Hopefully, she'll be okay. What happened to the cat? Did the cat, did it die of old age, hopefully? Was it old age? I'll hope that it was old age. I wouldn't, because cats are still kind of little wild animals anyway. So, as long as they were getting out there and moving, hopefully it wasn't like a little kitten. Those are always sad. And it is very cold today. Shy said that it was cold outside. It is very cold outside. I guess in the 32s and the 30s. Which I guess is pretty cold for us, but it's not like this movie that I'm about to review for the Call of the Wild. It's below negative 50 degrees, which 32 degrees is freezing. So negative 50, you have to go down 32 plus that 50 to get to negative 50. So that's like 82 degrees below freezing, almost 100 degrees below freezing. So being able to deal with that type of stuff sounds like it was crap. Stephanie said, no, she was 5. Oh, I'm sorry, Stephanie. That's horrible. When she found out she was dead. Oh, that's sad. I'm sorry, guys. Hopefully you guys can recover from that and, just give it some time. The only thing that heals these types of wounds is time, and time will make sure that you will get over it. Or not. Some people never get over things, so that'd be sad if they didn't get over it, but that's just that. I guess that's how it goes. That sucks. 5-year-old kitty, she died. You find your kitty dead. That's sad. Hopefully, I don't find Mancat like that. Even though I expect it like half the time that I see him outside, like this guy's going to get into some trouble that he can't get himself out of, or just like those weird thoughts where you're like, man, hopefully I don't just drive up one day and like the cat's just dead in the middle of the road. That would be so sad, Just like the situation with Stephanie, where she just found her. She just walked up and found her. Like, that's horrible. That sucks. I don't like worrying about that type of stuff. Nobody likes whenever people die, and especially whenever it's a little animal, because animals are almost more innocent than people. You almost feel more sympathy for the animals than you do the people, because people kind of understand like what their situations are. Dogs and cats and animals are more like, they're just more natural. They're just more like in line with just the way that they're thinking. They're not trying to think about making you feel a certain way or impress you or any of that type of stuff. They just react the way that they feel. Barry, what's up, Barry? How are you, man? Good to see you, brother. Good to see you. Just got here. Did I miss much of the rambling? You did not miss much of the rambling, Barry. We are just getting started. We're 4 minutes into the show, and I'm getting ready to go on to my little rants about the Call of the Wild, or as I like to put it, the Call of the Mild. Because reading the book And I always tell people this too. And I was talking to my cousin Leonard the other day, cousin Frank Thunder. If you guys remember Frank Thunder on the YouTube show, back on Jordane's Journey. Jordane's Journey is where I'm going to be interviewing other people as well. This is like my show where I just sit down and have conversations with you guys. I talk about things that I want to talk about. We talk about like whatever's going on in the world or whatever, like, you get your vaccine yet? No? Oh, you better get your vaccine. Did I get mine? No, I didn't get mine, but I think you should get yours. Other than like that type of stuff, we're going to be chit-chatting. And Barry said, "Let's do this." You're damn right, brother. Let's do this. So, have you guys ever read the book The Call of the Wild? If you haven't read the book The Call of the Wild, it's probably better for you not to read the book before you go see the movie. I would recommend going to see the movie first. Most books. So, like, here's the thing too. I realized a long time ago, I don't know if you guys realize it or not. I'm wondering, now I want to know if you guys can tell me in the chats. Have you guys found that most movies that are adapted from books don't do the book justice? And I know that it's not fair to put that type of pressure onto the movie because the movie has all these budgetary things that they have to worry about whenever it comes to, like, I don't know, CGI and those types of things. Like, in a book, you can just create that out of thin air with your words. So you're using people's imaginations to be able to come up with things. So a lot of the problems that we have is with the book to movie adaptations is there's a lot that gets lost in it. A lot of the story gets lost into the movie that was generally there at the book. I was always one of the ones that thought that the books were generally better than the movies, because obviously because they have so much more information, but the movies are going to be seen by so many more people. So if you're having just a general conversation with a stranger in your neighborhood, you're going to be able to talk to that person, and they're probably, if they've heard of Call of the Wild, they're probably heard about the 2020 movie, and that's probably what they're going off of. So it's easier to go on, like to explain, that type of stuff. One of the movies that I realized that were really good at the adaptations from the book to movie adaptations was Harry Potter. But I think that J.K. Rowling had a part in like actually editing or going over how the stories were going to go before she actually let it be released as the movies, because there's a lot of things in Harry Potter that were missing. Like a couple of the ghosts, like Peeves the ghost was missing. There was a couple other different ghosts that lived in Hogwarts that were kind of like side stories, but still entertaining. But they weren't like a giant part of the story. I think that part, like the Harry Potter was a really good. It was as close to the books as you could get. There were still a lot of things that were missing, but I still appreciated them for what they were. The adaptations from the books to the movies, it's almost a guarantee that the book's going to be better than the movie. Almost. Not always. Shamala said, Stephanie said, well, let me go back a little bit. I didn't know I needed to go back that much. Stephanie said, no vaccine for me. LOL. Well, no vaccine. Yeah. That some people don't want to take it. Shy said, ha ha ha. No, I'll wait for you to get the vaccine, and then I'll wait for your podcast on vaccine records, and then I'll take it. Shy, that you nailed it. You nailed it, because obviously, if we all care about each other, about those vaccines, and now I know I'm going to ramble about something a little bit different than what we were supposed to be talking about, but the vaccines, like if you give it a little bit of time and you just let other people be the guinea pigs, let them do it for a couple of months. I mean, most likely, if you take the vaccine now, you'll probably be okay. But wouldn't you rather just wait just to be sure? Just to be sure. You never know. Could it? What demographic of people can handle the vaccine? Is it young people, or is it old people? Will the vaccine actually negatively affect people or in some kind of a way? There's always but that's the thing too. Like I don't want to come off like an anti-vaxxer or the opposite of an anti-vaxxer, where it's like, oh, you got to do everything. You trust the government. Obviously you can't trust the government. That's. I was about to say something bad. I can't say the R word. No R words. That's very, very dumb. not smart to do. But yeah, it's interesting because the vaccines are important. We need the vaccines. We need a certain percentage of the population to have the vaccine so that we don't have to worry about the disease anymore, or the virus, or whatever you want to call it. I guess it's a virus. Which I guess the virus, doesn't a virus mean it's always in you now? If that's what it means, it's always you have COVID now. So you're just stuck with COVID. I don't think that you get it and then you lose it. You just get it and then it's just kind of like pieces are there, kind of like HIV. Is that how it goes? I know it's a virus. Yeah, you build up a tolerance for it. So, but it's still there. Like, it's always there. It's like herpes. Like, herpes is always there, even though it might not be there for 6 or 7 months out of the year. I don't know how. I don't hope I don't have herpes. Maybe I don't. Hopefully I don't. But I know that, like, people, like, if you have herpes, I've never seen herpes on the genital areas, but you never know. You never know, because sometimes you could be asymptomatic, and that means you don't see the symptoms. And a symptom is one of those cold sores. You know those cold sores that you get. All right. We're back off the vaccines now. I got to stay on track. I'm going to do my best to stay on track tonight, but you guys know how I am. That's not how we roll. Just wait till we're talking shit about people. Just wait. That's going to be really fun. But tonight we're talking shit about movies. Tonight we're just shit talking a movie. That's really fun as well. But, you know, you got to build your audience for all this type of stuff. You have to let your audience understand, like, okay, we're cool, we're great, we're awesome, but we're also going to talk shit about stuff too. I hope you guys like talking shit. But I know you guys, and you guys do like talking shit about stuff too. Like, we have a fun community here too. So, like, everybody's pretty chill and pretty kosher with everything, if I would say so myself. Anyway, yes, the vaccine records would be hilarious, because, you know, that's another thing. And now I'm going to go on another rant real quick. Like, how people are saying, like, oh, they're going to make lists if you have the COVID vaccine or if you haven't had it. Like, I don't even think it's going to get to that. I don't think it's going to get to that bad. But who knows? I just put this online, so we'll see. We'll see in a couple of months if I'm wrong or not. That's always fun too. I like putting some of these thoughts out there and then seeing where I was with, like, where we're going to be. So we'll see. We'll see. Exciting stuff. Darnell, what's up, brother? It's good to see you, man. I'm glad that you're in there, man. Darnell said, in junior high, I did. You did what? You see, this happens a lot in the podcast as well. There's a little bit of a space in between having you make your comments and then me, like, reading them, because then when I read them and then there's no context to the comments, I get confused and I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. But then it comes back. It comes back real quick too. Barry Jones, you're right, Barry. Barry said books are almost always better. 100%. They are almost always better. From my experience, they have been mostly better. I can't think of any that are better than the books. I would say that I probably enjoyed the Harry Potter books in movies close to the same, maybe? I read the book so long ago, though, so it's hard for me to really put in how I felt, because I was always excited to get, like, each different Harry Potter book. Yeah, I'm one of those people. But I think that might have been Harry Potter. It might have been Harry Potter. Harry Potter might have been one of the best book to movies that I've seen, and it was like they made 8 of them, because there were 7 books and there was 8 movies. Or was there? No, there was 8 movies and then 7 books. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they were. Yeah, because they split up a couple of the books. Shy said, 100% agree with you. There are many movies that doesn't do much justice to the book. That's the frustrating. That's what we're about to get into, guys. I'm telling you, I get so frustrated with this movie. I get so frustrated. And you know what? Rightfully so, because it turns out that they lost a lot of money because of this for this movie. So it's just one of those things, guys. I don't normally do reviews of stuff and things like that, but since I read the book, and then I saw that the movie was out, so then I got the audiobook, because I read the book a long time ago. So I got the audiobook, and I listened to it at like 1.5 times speed, just so I could get everything refreshed. And yeah, the book's way better. The book is so much better. There's so much better stuff in it, and it's not even the stuff that they did in the movies. They still they could have replaced it with the stuff in the books. It's not like the books was complicated. Why does that look so weird? Mancat looks so weird right now. Why does he have those lines on him? That's so weird. Mancat, why do you have lines on you, dude? The cat's not even answering me. I'm disappointed about that. Anyway, Shai said maybe it's because it's about the vision of the person who reads it. Plus, they have the time limit to fit everything. But yes, the movies doesn't do the books justice. That's what I'm saying, though. When it comes to the books and the movies, so a lot of times the movies have a budget, and they have to make sure that they stay within that budget so they can try to at least make the money back. They don't want to spend too much money on it. The books, most books don't really have that. Like, it's the author's time that you have to pay for. Other than that, and I guess you're not really paying for the author's time, because depending on how much the author's time is worth is depending on how many people actually buys the book. So, I mean, Jack London, and this book was written in 1903, so it's a very old book, but it lets you know right there that, obviously, I guess people are much more soft these days, and I have another thought with that as well, because I don't think that people are soft these days. I think that they just thought that it would be a better idea to make this movie PG instead of more true to what the book was. The book was probably more PG-13, and the movie was more PG. And PG-13, I say PG-13 because I don't need to see the violence, but you need to understand that that does happen with animals in the wild. It's called The Call of the Wild. But when you have an alpha wolf not acting like an alpha wolf and just giving his food away, like alpha wolves, like they have like certain parts of like the carcass of meat that they have that's specifically for them. So like I think there were wolves in the Northwest or way up in the north where moose are. Whenever they kill a moose, whenever a pack of wolves take down a moose, the alpha gets the liver. But the movie made it seem like the alpha would just be like, I'm not going to eat. I'm going to give all my subordinates the food. Well, that's sweet. That's very sweet. That's cute. But that's not fucking real life. That's not how animals really are. That's not how humans really are. You eat your food. You get your food. You need that protein. You're starving to death. You're not just going to give your food to somebody else. Maybe you would split it. But no, this dog had the moral capacity of the Pope, probably. Like, the moral capacity of the dog in the movie was just like, it just bothered me so much. And I know that that's a weird hang-up to have for a movie. But the book was so much more realistic about it, because the book was talking about how, Buck would kill a couple of things. He killed some shit, but not in the movie. In the movie, he didn't do shit. He was a sweetie pie. All he did was hold the animals down and be like, hey, you guys know that I'm badass, right? Okay, cool. You can go. That's not what they do. That's not what they do. That's not what they do at all. Just watch some wolf documentaries like I have, and you'll get it. You'll know. You'll see. You'll get it. Jeez Louise. It's so frustrating, though, because it's like, God, you're making the animals like humans. They have human morals. I don't want to watch a movie with an animal that has human morals. I want to see a beast. I want to be a savage. It's called The Call of the Wild. The animal turns wild. He goes native. He goes out there and he like does his thing. Like he if you're reading the book, you see how he's getting excited about being able to catch a bunny. He kills a bunny in the book. It's not a thing. It's not the first thing he kills, and it's not the last thing he kills, He likes killing in the books. He don't like killing in the movie, though. The movie, he's just like, oof, I don't want to do this. I don't think I should do this. And you're a fucking dog, first of all. You don't have this crazy moral capacity. You're just trying to make sure that you get your food, and you don't want to like let somebody else get beat with the stick. Oh yeah, and at the beginning, it's crazy because at the very beginning, it doesn't make any sense because they it starts off, and the dog like gets tricked into being sold into the I guess it's dog trafficking, human trafficking back in the day, but dog trafficking. That was still pretty true to the movie, but it was interesting because a lot of the movie was changed, but a lot of the movie was updated. It was updated and it was put here, or it was put because, or it was made for movies. It was made for families. And, you know, you don't want to have too much violent stuff, especially with PG, but it's called parental guidance. So you'd have to have parental guidance to be able to see the movie with children. So they can at least explain how these animals are acting in the wild. But they're not. They're just acting like, you know, moral beings. And animals aren't necessarily moral beings. Morality is a human invention. Anyway. Yeah, Shai said maybe it's because of the vision of the person. And I think that, so that's another thing too. So I think that the reason why the movie was so different than the book, and that's obviously because not only budgetary differences with being able to use people's imagination. Obviously, you can use people's imagination for a book, so you can have everything. You're not limited by anything. You have the reader's imagination. You just have to make it make sense to the reader. If the reader can comprehend and understand, that's half the battle right there. But half the battle in a movie is trying to make it look realistic. So I seen that the complaints for the movie was that the CGI looked bad. I didn't care about the CGI. I did not give one shit about the CGI. The CGI was fine to me. I don't give a shit. Whatever. You can have just a smiley face throughout the book. Tell me it's a dog, and I'll be like, all right, that's cool. That's a dog. All right, I believe it. I'm sorry. That fucking stick figure dog. I feel bad for that stick figure dog. But that's just how I work. Like, it'd be a lot easier to know that. I'm not really worried about the CGI. I just want the story to make sense. And none of it made it. It wasn't a bad movie, though. That's the thing. The movie wasn't bad if you didn't read the book. If you read the book, horrible movie. If you didn't read the book, it's a pretty good movie. Just as a movie in itself. Standalone dog movie, cool, cute. I like it. I'll go back to the comments real quick before we keep going. And David said, hey, it's Joe from Germany. You remember me? No, I don't. Darnell said, yeah, it's different. I read Jaws. The Client, great book, by the way. Client, that's interesting. I'll check out The Client, Darnell. They were totally different than the movies. That's the thing. I hate when they change so much. Why do they change so much? It's like, man, like the book was so good. Even if you cut like 3/4 of the stuff out, you still would have had so much good stuff if you would have just kept what was in the book instead of like creating all this extra stuff. But if you think about like, if I were to think about if I owned like a movie corporation or a movie set or a movie production, whatever they call them, I don't know what they call them, movie productions or whatever, I would be worried about having it too violent for families because families are probably the biggest clientele that you would have to come and see the movies. So I could totally understand why you would take a less violent route with the movie. But there was a major lack of violence in the movie that was just stunning to me because it was like, oh, that didn't happen. This didn't happen. There was a spot whenever Buck. So Buck, he's the owner, the name of the dog. The name of the dog's name. The name of the dog's name. The dog's name is Buck, and that's who you're following throughout the whole movie. You're following Buck, but his owner. Let me see what his owner's name is. His owner's name is John Thornton, and John Thornton is like his fourth owner, who actually takes care of him. So Buck goes. He lives at like a governor's mansion, very very rich. He's very spoiled. But then he gets stolen because up in the Yukon, there's a dog trafficking business. There's a lot of people who need dogs to send their sleds across the Yukon. So he gets tricked into being shoved into a box and sent up north. He goes up north. He learns how to run the sled. As he's learning how to run the sled, he kind of becomes a wild dog. He has multiple different owners. The Postal Service owns him at first, and then he moves on, and then a couple owns him, and they're trying to go out and find gold. And as they're going out to try to find gold, they're beating the shit out of the dogs because the dogs just ran the whole mail. The dogs ran across the Yukon and then back. And then once they got back, they need like a couple of days of rest. They didn't get a couple of days of rest because these owners wanted to go right then and there. So the dogs were so exhausted, and they try to go, and the owner of the dogs is like, "Okay, Buck, you're the owner, you're the leader of these dogs, and you're being a wuss right now." So, and up there, it's the law of the club and fangs. And there were a lot of clubs in the movie, but no fangs. In the book, there's fangs. It's even. There's clubs and fangs in the movie. So you get a little bit of both in the movie. You actually see the law of clubs and fangs. In the movie, you don't. You don't see that in the movie. You only see clubs where they might hit him a couple of times, but then other than that, they're just kind of like teasing him. They're not like actually hitting him. In the book, they're beating the shit out of this poor dog. They beat the shit out of him until John Thornton comes up and he's like, "Hey, if you hit that dog one more time, I'm going to kill you." He literally says, "I'll kill you." And back in those days, they probably could kill him and get away with it. I mean, especially up in Alaska. You could probably kill somebody now in Alaska and get away with it. Anybody want to take a trip to Alaska? I want to kill my first person. That's the only reason why. Stephanie said it's like the flu shot. Oh, we're going back to the vaccine. You get a mind and case, and you build your immune system up. Marie Odom said, "I'm not going to get the vaccine." Bernie said, "Holy crap, come in after shower, fixing my salad for dinner, rambling is off the rails and down the hill. LOL. Look at that boy cat glow." Haha, you got it right, Bernie. King Cat is not impressed. King Cat is never impressed. Darnell said, "I read Call of the Wild in junior high." Yeah, I read Call of the Wild a long time ago. That's why I did the audiobook, so that I could kind of be refreshed of everything and how everything went, specifically because I remember liking it, but I liked those types of books. I loved Old Man and the Sea. I loved Hatchet. I love those types of books, those like survival type books. Those are always badass to me. And I just love the idea of trying to survive, even though I'd probably die real quick. Shai said, "I watched this movie and I cried at the end." Yeah, it's a good movie. It's a good movie. The movie is good. It's a good movie. It's just not the book. That's the main thing that bothers me about the book to movie comparison. And I was telling Frank Thunder, like I was telling you guys earlier, I told Frank Thunder, I'm ruining this movie for me because now I'm kind of reinvigorating all these memories about the book. And now when I watch the movie, it's not going to be as good. And I know, and it wasn't as good as the book, but it never generally is. I mean, that's just kind of one of the things, like, what you're getting whenever you do that. But I did that to myself. There's not much that I can do. I just have to deal. It's just one of those things, Stephanie said, never read it or seen the movie. Well, the movie's brand new. I read Call of the Wild in junior high. Yeah, I know what you meant. I'll go to Alaska, Stephanie said. Yeah, that's it's pretty cool. And that's another thing too, because like Alaska seems like it's the shits to live in. The book makes it sound so horrendous. It makes it sound so horrible to have to deal with the weather. The weather being like negative 50 degrees, which is like negative 80 degrees, like negative 80 below freezing, which is just hard to imagine. The main thing that I realized about the book or about the movie was they didn't look cold at all. The people up in Alaska who were running the sleds, their hair was nicely brushed. They didn't seem like they were cold whatsoever. They just seemed like they were just going down the sled, and this is just what you do. And now we're going to talk about, oh, how awesome is that? Oh, that dog is badass. Isn't that dog awesome? Wow, that dog's so great. But in the books, they're having a hard time getting through that shit because it's very hard. Like everything that you do is hard to do because up there, that winter is so crushing. It's soul crushing, if you will. Soul crushing, if you will, baby daddy. Got a little bit of Dusty Rhodes going on tonight. I should do Dusty Rhodes reviewing the movie. Stephanie said, "I wanted to see the Northern Lights." I think everybody wants to see the Northern Lights. That'd be a pretty badass sight to see. Bernie said, "Saw a really great breakfast place up there on Man vs. Food a long time ago. Looked delicious." Yeah. There's a lot of places up there that look like they take care of their stuff, but I wonder how many visitors they actually get up there in that part of Alaska, in any part of Alaska really, because I know I used to have a friend. So my cousin was in the Army, and he had a friend who was from Alaska, but his family moved to Alaska because the government was, they had like some type of a deal where they wanted to colonize Alaska. In order to do that, they would pay you and your family to live there. So they would get a stipend once a month of, I don't know, maybe it covered their rent or something like that, to live in Alaska. Seems pretty cool, but you have to live in Alaska. You don't get your normal 24 hours a day. You get like these weird offshoot days where it's a long time, and, you know, like, I guess the more north you go, the less days you get, or the more days you get, or you get like 30 days of day and then 30 nights of night or something like that, where it's not always going, but it's always, you know, something like that. But yeah, it's there's a whole lot to the movie that I noticed that was very different. And Shai said, how long do you have to stay in Alaska? Well, you have to live there. If you're getting paid to live there, then you have to live there. That's the thing. Like, you can stay there as long as you need or want, but you have to live there. I don't know how long you have to live there. I don't know, like, the specifics of those types of deals. Doesn't seem like too bad of a deal, though. I mean, you're getting paid to go live somewhere. That's pretty badass. But I wouldn't want to stay in Alaska, though. I don't think I would want to live there. I'd want to visit there. I'd want to go fly fishing. I'd want to, like, try to run some dogs and see how that whole experience would be, just to experience it. But I don't think I'd want to live there, per se, because I'm kind of spoiled when it comes to being around things and being around people and humans and civilization. And I kind of like civilization, you know. I don't really like civilization that much, though, because I do get tired of it. So I'm a half and halfy. Maybe I need to move to Colorado, where you get a little bit of both. So the movie, it's not bad. The movie's not bad. I don't want you guys thinking that I'm hating the movie. I just didn't like how they changed so much of the movie. But that's what they always do with book to movie adaptations. They always do that. And Shai said, oh, well, then that will be difficult. I like to visit, but I can't live because I can't handle too much cold. Right, Shai. I think that's what most people are thinking whenever it comes to Alaska. And I think that's probably why they have to pay people to live there. Because most people don't want to live there in the cold. Most people don't want to deal with that type of stuff. I don't want to deal with that type of stuff. That sucks. Screw that. That's like, you know, no, it's too much cold. It's already too much cold in Baltimore. Living in Baltimore makes me want to move back to Florida. So going to Alaska sounds horrendous. And I was, you know, moving to Colorado sounds pretty bad too. Like, I like my warm weather. But at least I'll get a mountain. At least the mountain's pretty. Oh man, yeah, it's one of those things though, because I was trying to figure out what it was about the movie that bothered me so much, because, you know, like, everything's different, everything changes from, you know, when, especially, like, obviously you can't make a book exactly like the movie, because books have way more details than anybody would have any type of patience to sit down and watch. I couldn't see you wanting to watch the details that you get in a book. But the overall story and the main story, I could see you wanting to do that. Especially the ending. Because the ending was so different compared to the book that it just didn't even make any sense to me. I didn't see where the legend of the dog was being built at all. All you got in the movie was a couple of people who tried to run. They bought Buck and a couple of other dogs, and they were like, oh, we're gonna try to get out there, and we're gonna try to run this sled to go get some gold, because it was a gold rush back then. So they were trying to get some gold. And hold on one sec. Are we on? Okay, yeah, we didn't lose it. All right, cool. I just wanted to make sure we didn't lose everything. Oh, hi Lisa, what's up? Bernie said, Russell Pro, who we traded talent with MCW out of New Jersey, do shows in Anchorage, Alaska. Think their next show is April out there. Yeah, I noticed that. I did see that Russell Pro does have, they have like Russell Pro Alaska. and they bring a lot of their Jersey guys out there to Alaska to wrestle. And Barry Jones said, "Damn it, missed a bunch, no connection." Ah, damn it, Barry, you're gonna have to go back, man. You're gonna have to go back. You'd always go back. And Lisa said the movie with The Rock in it is good too. I don't know what the hell you're talking about, Lisa. We're talking about The Call of the Wild. I don't think that The Rock was in The Call of the Wild. Do you guys, was The Rock in The Call of the Wild? Was he in? I don't think he was. I don't think he was. It didn't seem like he was. Or like there was a Call of the Wild, like a different. I couldn't find any other Call of the Wilds. I could only find that one, which was the 2020 version. But, you know, that's here nor there. But I didn't like how they changed the ending so much. They changed the ending so much to where it was like it was a different movie. Now, if I didn't read the book, the movie would have been fine. But since I read the book, I was like, oh my God, like this doesn't make any sense at all. Everybody dies at the end of the movie. Spoiler alert. I already have a spoiler alert in the little description. So, but everybody dies in the movie. So how does the legend of the ghost dog be spread to everybody? Like there's no legend of the ghost. Like in the book, like at least in the book, they like have a little competition where old John Thornton has a bet with like a couple of other prospectors who are out there trying to get gold. They all run dogs and they all run sled dogs. And they were like, hey man, I bet Buck can't pull a 1,000-pound sled. And this was not in the movie. But they were making a bet, and John Thornton was like, oh, yeah, my buck can do anything. My buck can do anything. That's okay, Lisa. No worries. I know you must have been talking about a different movie. That's okay. She's talking about some other movie. Yeah, Barry, it's all good, man. But anyway, John Thornton was saying, yeah, not my buck. My buck can pull that 1,000-pound sled. I think it had like 20, 50-pound bags of salt or something, whatever it was in the book. And too damn late, spoiler alert. Hey man, you got to read hey dude, you got to read the description, because the description does have the spoiler alert in the description. Anyway, back to where we were. And tomorrow we're going to be doing Went for a Walk, Got Lost a little bit. So let you guys see a little bit more about that. And then we'll say goodbye to Shy real quick before we continue on with the story. Sorry, guys, I have to leave now. Have an awesome show and have a great evening. Also, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Paul Jordane, click on those bells and icons. You damn right. Thank you, Shy. Shy has nailed it, and that deserves a heart. And I'm going to go back to the Facebook real quick and see if I can find that. Yeah, let's heart that. Thank you for the support, Shy. And if you guys can, click that share button real quick so that we can try to get as many viewers as we can. And we actually have been growing. I know that you guys, it's hard for you guys to notice it, but I do see a lot of growth in our day-to-day movements. And, you know, this is just the thing. We just got to build the habit with everybody and keep everybody coming in and talking. But they were building the legend of Buck, because the whole book is about the legend of this badass dog. And, so Buck finally, you know, he pulls the sled and he pulls it like over 100 feet, and they all freak out and they're like, oh my God, that's amazing. What an amazing dog. He's the best. So the legend of Buck is right. Like it started right there. And everybody there, all the prospectors see, and they're like, man, this fucking badass dog. This dog is so awesome. This dog is badass. I want to be like this dog. And, they like freak out and they're like, oh my God, this dog can pull a 1,000-pound sled all by himself. I want to buy the dog. So instead of like worrying about the bet, all the prospectors are like, oh, I want to buy that dog. Let's buy that dog. That dog. Let's buy that dog. Which seems like it's minuscule. It's a minuscule part of the puzzle or a minuscule part of the story, but it makes sense at the end whenever it all comes together. When the legend comes together, because now you have the prospectors, they have one piece of the legend, which is this dog Buck can pull 1,000 fucking pounds, and I've never seen no dog be able to do something like that. That's crazy. Like, and he's a big. What type of dog was he? I think he was a shepherd and a what the hell was it? A shepherd and a what are those really big dogs? Shit. What are those really big dogs? Let me see if I can find it on here. It probably has it on the Call of the Wild book. A sled dog struggles for survival in the wilds of the Yukon. That's the preview for the movie, but that's way better. That's way better for the book because there's not much suffering. No one looks like they're suffering in the movie. Towards the end, they start looking like they're suffering, but at the beginning, it's like they're just walking around. It's 50 below or it's 80 below freezing, and everybody's just like, whoa, 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 what a dog. What's a cool dog? Like, y'all ain't cold. You aren't dealing with it. In the books, they have a hard time just moving because your hands, you can't move. But you can't really do those types of details in books. So I'm complaining about a lot of stuff that you couldn't do anyway. But just let me complain, guys. Let me rant. Let me rant. A Saint Bernard. A Saint Bernard. A Saint Bernard. Thank you, Stephanie. Yeah, Saint Bernard and a what's it called? Fuck, I lost the other one now. A shepherd. They're smart dogs, though. Smart and very big. But you have a big-ass St. Bernard out there intimidating all the wolves and stuff like that. But the main difference at the very ending, so there was a prospector who bought Buck, and I was telling you guys earlier, this guy was beating Buck with a stick, and that was whenever John ran in and was like, if you hit that dog one more time, I'm going to fucking kill you. I will kill you if you hit that dog one more time. And then he took the dog from that point on. Once he took that dog, and they started rolling, like that was the first time Buck ever felt love, and it was so cool, it was so great. And the cool thing about it is the movie, a part of the movie that I really liked a lot was there is a call to the wild that's happening in Buck's head, and he always hears it in the books. It's like a howl in his head, and it's bringing him to the wild. And he's like, man, I there's just something that makes me want to go out there. In the movies, there's like a ghost wolf, like a big black ghost wolf that he sees, and it kind of guides his instincts. It's kind of his instincts. It's like his wolf instincts that are guiding him. So he sees this wolf and he runs to the wolf. Or something happens and then the wolf kind of gives him a hint and then he does it. So in the book, you do have like the call to the wild. You have like these little pieces. It's not like a wolf. He doesn't see anything in the book. In the movie, he does, but that's cool because you're not hearing Buck's inner thoughts in the movie. You're hearing Buck's inner thoughts in the book, which is another fascinating thing too. Just the way that he explained the dog's thoughts sounded like it would be a dog because it wasn't super complex. And it was very easily, very easily digestible for everybody to be like, oh yeah, that's a dog. That makes sense. I've seen dogs do that. I've seen dogs do that. You've seen them figure things out. Dogs aren't that stupid. They're not that dumb, like that people kind of I don't think they give dogs enough credit, honestly, because that's another good thing about the movie was it would show like him having the call to the wild and he would want to go, and there was a lot of cool parts about that. Beautiful scenery. It's just the scenery looks too nice. There's no mud. There's no nobody's shivering, nobody's falling apart. Nobody has like broken nails. Like the male people at the beginning who were like the first owners of Buck just look like they're just going about their day and they're not having any types of problems at all. It's like, oh, this is fine. This is great. And they're just going through the Yukon like it's no big deal. No big deal. And I've never ran the Yukon, so maybe it is not a big deal, And Barry said, those dogs are not as smart as Mancat. Well, I mean, Mancat's a general, though. Mancat's a general. So in order for Mancat to become a general, he has to have some type of intelligence there. He has to have a lot of stuff going on. He's a smart cat, He don't fuck around. Mancat don't fuck around now. Don't think Mancat fucks around, because he doesn't. All he does is hunt and war with the neighborhood cats. He's always fighting. He's fighting the cats. He's a wild animal. He's way more wild than they were wild in the book and the movie. The movies are not that. The movie was not as wild. It wasn't as wild. There was a lot of stuff in the movie that it seems like it was more movie-ish than it was real life. So the book to me was more realistic, even though you're listening to the inner thoughts of a dog. It was more realistic with the way that the characters interacted with each other. And when I say characters interacted with each other, I mean the dogs, the animals interacted with each other. Because in the book, or in the movie, one of the main things that bothered me from the movie was Buck was fighting for dominance on the sled team. And as he's fighting for dominance in the sled team, instead of just beating the shit out of the leader and, you know, taking out the leader, kind of like what they do in the wild, all he did was feed the other dogs. The other dog, the alpha was trying to take food from them, and a lot of times the alphas do take food from people, from the other animals. Like, that's what the alphas do, because they're the bigger ones. Usually the alphas are the bigger animals, and they need more protein anyway. But the book was just so unrealistic, because Buck and the other alpha, which was a husky, which was a gorgeous husky, but they made him an asshole. And this asshole dog, which was just acting like a normal dog. It's what dogs do. If you watch dogs, you'll see the way that dogs act. And they are little assholes. They're little assholes to each other. So that dog was acting like a dog, but Buck stole his food, held him down, and then at a certain point, there's a point when you're holding a dog down and like, okay, God, you got me. Okay, I'm cool. And they're chilled out. That's what Buck did. And then the alpha ran away, and then all of a sudden they needed a lead dog, and then Buck became the lead dog. In the book now, Buck kills the dog. That's just what they do. They're fighting throughout the whole time. They're fighting with each other to be the alpha. They're two alphas. When two alphas are in the room together, they're not going to be like, oh, I'll let you go. No, you go. No, you go. No, I got it. No, I got it. No, fuck you. No, fuck you. No, fuck you. That's how that goes. That's nature. That's the wild. That's the call of the fucking wild. But they completely took that out because it's a family movie. And now we're getting to the end. I know. It's a big, long rant about one movie, but, I can sit here and rant for an hour about anything. Give me something, guys. Give me something. But we get to the ending. And I was telling you about this prospector who bought the dogs, and then him, his wife, and her brother, his brother-in-law, his wife's brother, wanted to take the dogs on a sled, but the dogs were running the sled throughout the Yukon the whole time, and they were tired. He was beating it, and then John saves the dog. So in the book, that's the last you see about them. Like, he takes Buck from that guy, and they're gone. In the movie, that guy comes back and kills John, and then Buck runs and jumps and tackles him into fire, and then he gets thrown into the fire, and then he dies in the fire. And then Buck runs off and becomes a wild animal, and he has like a wolf family, and it's all cute. It was very cute. I wanted wolf puppies. Cool ending to a dog movie. I'd be into it. But since it was not true to the actual book, I was so annoyed with it. I was like, this is not fucking the book at all. This is not how it happened. This doesn't make any sense now. Because, okay, so everybody's dead. That guy killed John, who was Buck's only love. And then Buck killed John. Or no, Buck killed the guy who killed John. But in the movie, he knocked him into fire. So the way that Buck took care of the people who actually killed John in the books. And it's so sad, though, because John, Buck, and a couple other people are out in the woods, and this is the very ending. I'm going to tell you guys the ending of the book just because the book was so much better, and you guys tell me which one was better. I'm going to go back to the chats real quick so that I can get to the ending of this, but I'm going to, let's see. I see you guys are laughing. Hopefully we said some funny stuff in here. Barry Jones said he will kill something in a heartbeat. Boycat kills things in a heartbeat all the damn time. Bernie said, Shred Shed Productions presents Call of the Wild 2, the trial and tribulations of Man-Cat's rise to royalty. Dude, we got to do that. We got to do that. The Call of the Wild 2. This time, it's a cat. And they're wild. They're little wild animals, basically. They're less domesticated than dogs, at least. And then Lisa said, guess I have to get a book and watch the movie. Yeah, I would say watch the movie first and then read the book. Because then the movie, then you're going to see like how much better the book is than the movie. And the main thing for me was the ending because, okay, cool. Yeah, you got that prospector who came back because all his dogs died because he tried to cross the Yukon when John told him not to. John told him not to, and then he still tried. He lost all his family, so he didn't have anything. So he had a reasonable reason to want to blame this on somebody, and he blamed it on John, and he killed John. And then Buck killed John, or Buck killed the guy who killed John. The book, Buck was actually out hunting a moose, and he was tracking this moose for like a couple of days. It was an old moose, obviously. Like, that's what you do. Wolves, they'll find the older moose who can't really move as well. I mean, the wolf, he could kill a wolf still, but not 5 wolves. So Buck finds this moose, and he finally takes the moose down, kills the moose, has a little bit of food. He eats his food. He eats the moose. Not all the moose, obviously. It's like 600 pounds. You're not going to eat all the moose. But he stayed there for a couple of days, resting and relaxing, and then he remembered. He was like, oh, shit, John. Because he was living his wild life. He went out every now, like he would, at the end of the book, he's chilling with John, and then he goes out and he lives wild. He just goes, hangs out with his wolf buddies, and then the wolves are hanging out with Buck, but then Buck's like, oh, shit, John, I got to go back. So then he comes back. So each time, like, he would go out and hang out with his wolves, he would come back, and the wolves would be whimpering at him. They'd be like, ooh, why are you leaving? Why are you leaving, man? You're leaving us. But Buck, having his one true person who actually cared about him in his life, like, he was like, no, I gotta go back and check on John. I gotta go check on John. So he kills this moose, and he starts walking back to check on John. And as he's walking, he's seeing that the camp is different. On the way back to the camp, it's very different. There's no squirrels. There's no birds. Like, something's scared away the birds and the squirrels. So that's already not a good thing. And as he's walking more, he has a scent, and he smells something. And he's like, what the hell is this smell? What is going on here? So now, like, Buck's starting to freak out in his head because he's like, something unfamiliar is going on, and I don't know what the hell is going on. He runs up to the camp, and one of John's friends is killed, and he has arrows in him. Native Americans killed him. Keep going a little bit longer, you find a couple more of the sled dogs. A couple of sled dogs are dead as shit, just sitting there dead. One of them's whimpering, like begging Buck for help, like whimpering, reaching for him, and Buck doesn't pay attention to anything. All he's looking for is John. That's all he's worried about. He can't find John anywhere. And then finally, he sees John with arrows in his back, laying down with his head, like, in, I think it was in the water, I think it was. I don't remember exactly. But he finds John dead, and he's like, he just has the worst fit of rage that he ever had. And he sees the Native Americans walking up the trail. So he jumps into the trail and starts attacking the Native Americans. He tears one throat out. He tears another throat out. And then the Native Americans are trying to shoot the arrows at him, but they can't get him. They have spears, and they try to spear him. Buck moves out of the way. One of the Native Americans spear one of his own guys. And Buck is just killing these guys left and right. And then the Native Americans disperse. And they a week later, they reconvene, and they're like, oh, my God, the ghost dog. And then the legend of the ghost dog spread throughout the Yukon. A ghost dog that ran with the wolves but would kill people. He would kill your people. He would kill your dogs. He would kill everything. So everybody thought, like, the Native Americans thought that, like, this animal was just a savage beast. But that was because they killed John. But the Native Americans were just living in the Yukon. So if they come, like, if you're living in the Yukon, especially if you're a Native American and you run across somebody who has guns and stuff, you better take out those people with those guns because they're going to take you out first. That's just the name of the game. So the main thing that I really liked about it, and that's probably what made it not work for the movie, was because it was so random. It was so like, oh, no, he just got killed by Native Americans. Didn't see that coming. For the movie, though, I totally saw John being killed by the other guy. Like, with how he kept coming back, I was like, they're building up to a point to where they're going to have a clash. And then they had the clash. He kills him, and then boom. A lot easier of a story to follow than the book. But the book is so much better. Barry said, oh no, Barry. Barry said, I have to watch this. Sounds like a great movie. Barry, I just explained to you what happened in the book, brother. That's what happened in the book. That's not what happened in the movie. But the movie's not bad. It's a good movie. It's a great movie, actually. So I would definitely say look for it. Yes, Lisa, that's what he was doing. He came back and he was looking for his master. And then whenever he found that his master was killed, because he would come back, like, you know, he would go back and forth, and that was like their routine. But this routine was different because he was gone for 4 days because he was chasing a moose. And finally he got the moose. He ate the moose. Well, he didn't eat all the moose, but he ate a lot of the moose. And then came back and got loose, man. And it was a good book, man. It was a good movie. It was very, man. All I remember, like, in conclusion to it all, now that we know the finish or the ending to all of them, I like them both. I like the movie and I like the book. Obviously, I like the book better, but that's so cliche. That's so like, oh, the book was so much better. It is, though. It is so much better. It is so much better. Emotionally. I didn't give a shit about the CGI. And this movie did horrible. The movie did horrible because they didn't stick true to the book. If they would have stick true to the book and it would have actually seemed like you were living in the wild instead of everybody has a moral compass. You don't have a moral compass in the wild. The morality came from humans. It didn't come from dogs. Dogs have their own sense of morality, but it's not humans. It's not human morality. We have human morality. But now again, when I'm thinking about creating the movie, if I wanted people to be connected with this dog, it would probably behoove you to make the dog be nice than be a fucking brutal asshole. Because he's not really a brutal asshole. He's just a dog. But he's being the alpha dog, so you got to be brutal sometimes in those senses. And that was what he was in the book. In the book, Buck fucked shit up when he had to. In the movie, he was nice. At the points whenever he had to prove that he was alpha, he proved that he was alpha in the human sense and not in the dog, animal, wolf sense. I liked it. I liked them both, though. I would recommend still seeing the movie. I still recommend the movie. It was not a bad movie. It's just not the book. But I ruined the movie for myself because I knew the book. So when you know the book, like, the book was so much, oh my God, the book, you feel so bad for that dog. You're like, oh, poor Buck. And then finally, when things were happy, you knew something was going to go bad. You were like something. Why is he so happy now? The dog was so sad this whole time, and now he's happy. Now he found John, and now it's like, now he's like a normal dog, and now everything's going to be good. And then everything goes to shit, as a good book should. As a good story should. There should be something that explains to you, like, hey, like how brutal it gets, how bad it gets, but then like that survival instinct, being able to get through, because, throughout the whole movie, in the movie and the book, Buck didn't complain. And that motherfucker been through some shit. That dog been through some shit. But he didn't complain. So I really loved the movie. I really loved the book. I loved the book. I liked the movie. I didn't hate the movie. I was emotionally bothered by the movie while I was watching it because I was like, this is not what happens. It's not what happens. But it was still good. I'd still recommend it. I love those types of movies anyway. You definitely should see those. I hope you guys had fun with this episode. I'm going to jump off here now because we got our hour in here, and I wanted to just keep this episode being on this little review. Tomorrow I'm going to have Ralph on here, and we're going to be chit-chatting a little bit about where we go for our hiking and things like that. Maybe we're just going to sit here and have a little bit of a conversation. Who knows how it's really going to go. I got to see how all this stuff goes. But right now, I have to get ready for my run, so I'm going to go do that. So it was great seeing you guys. Thank you guys for joining me again on the Jordane podcast, the Jordane stream, the Jordane, I don't know what it is yet. We'll figure out a name. It's Jordane's Journey for now. And so thank you guys for joining. We will see you all later. I hope that you guys had a wonderful Tuesday, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Have a great night, guys.